So, hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world. And let me start off by just saying thank you. I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed to my channel, likes my videos, um, or shares the videos, just participates positively in my community. Thank you so much. Special thank you, as always, to my members. Special thank you to those of you who have sent Ko-fis or super stickers or PayPals, etc. Thank you so much for that. I'm well on the way now to the new computer. What else did I want to say before I start? So yeah, today, if you're watching this live as I'm actually speaking, is Saturday. I'm based in Spain. It is Saturday the 21st of February. It is 8:24 a.m. here in Spain, and we're going to talk another update, or if it is an update on the Nancy Guthrie case. So Nancy, of course, the 84-year-old taken from her bed in the middle of the night for no reason that no motive. We had no motives been established. Was she kidnapped? Was she targeted especially? Was it the result of a burglary gone wrong? These are all the questions that are swirling around this case. And unfortunately for Nancy and her family, this case is being dealt with by an incompetent sheriff, Sheriff Noanos, who just can't get his act together, doesn't inspire any confidence. It's been weeks since we've had a press conference from Sheriff Noanos. And, I'm just starting to, it just struck me yesterday. I was thinking, why is he not giving a press conference? Because one day he sort of gave a load of different media interviews to all different media groups. Instead of just doing one press conference and saving time that way. And I've just realised why he does that, because he doesn't want to include the FBI. He doesn't want to include the FBI because he's got a grudge against the FBI. And if he did a press conference, it's not all about him, is it then? Then he'd probably have to invite the FBI like he did last time. This is the woman at the centre of it all, the 84-year-old lady that's been, well, who knows, but abducted probably, disappeared, blood on the porch. She wears a pacemaker, 84 years old. Her daughter Savannah Guthrie is a famous television presenter in America. Is it connected to her? Is this a revenge act that some sort of, as JLR calls them, some wackadoodle has decided to punish Savannah for some reason by kidnapping her mum? But why? Anyway, these are all the rumours that are swirling around, because basically we just don't know. And Sheriff Noanos, he is not really, helping at all, it feels like. So I've got some information about him. There's a few things we're going to talk about in this video, but the most important thing for me is the Madres Buscadoras that have joined in the search for Nancy. And I'm going to talk about them a bit and why I think that's quite hopeful, because I still feel in my heart that Nancy is around there somewhere. This theory about her going to Mexico, it seems to have, like, people seem to be, down crying it a bit more now, but I never believed it in the first place. So I think the searches are important. In my opinion, I do think Nancy is around there somewhere. Sadly, I feel she's deceased. Maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am wrong. I hope she is in Mexico being looked after by somebody. But it doesn't seem very likely, does it? Anyway, hi, you lovely lurkers. You can't see it, but I'm blowing a kiss. Hi, replay crew. Thank you so much for watching. Somebody's in the chat. Let's have a look. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Angel. So, right, what we're going to... So the first thing I think that I want to talk about is 21 days. 21 days. It's been 400 investigators, apparently, looking into this case. I don't know if that includes the FBI or if that's just the sheriff's office. 21 days, 400 investigators. No clues. That's how it feels. I mean, there's a big relevance put on this DNA that was recovered from the house that did not ping up on CODIS. So it's not the DNA of anybody who's already in the CODIS database, but it's now been passed to the genealogical sites, etc., and something may come up that way. But really, apart from that, two sort of massive SWAT operations, two people sort of detained, or at least two people detained, then released. Not really cleared, I wouldn't say, because, well, the sheriff never comes on to tell us anything anyway. So we don't know if they've been completely cleared or there just wasn't enough evidence, or, we don't even know why they were detained. Was it actual evidence that led to them being detained? I don't think so, because I think they would have been charged with something. So, or is it just tip-offs, just somebody ringing up and saying, oh, I think that guy on the CCTV looks a bit like my neighbour, and he's a bit suspicious because I don't like his shifty eyes. I mean, is it that sort of, is that the reason they were detained, or was there more information? It's very strange, the whole thing. And of course, it's possible that there may be loads going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but every day that goes past is just even more gut-wrenching for the family. Another day, they don't know where their mum is, or, if she's even alive. There's been no proof of life, but there's been no proof of death. Having said that, there was blood all over the porch, wasn't there? Which has been confirmed to be Nancy's blood. So at some point, Nancy has bled over that porch. But as we're going to see later, some people now are saying what, because, when we watch the CCTV, the guy in the ski mask who's at Nancy's door grabbed a load of plants. And now people are saying that it appears like these plants are over the blood rather than the blood being on the plants. So the thing is, we don't know exactly what time that CCTV was taken. So why is there blood on the porch that appears like it's under the plants? So as if the guy went to sort of block the CCTV after Nancy had bled all over the porch. It's another mystery. Wouldn't it be if the guy was going in then and he put he ripped the plants off, the plants went on the floor, then they brought Nancy out and she bled. Wouldn't she have bled on top of the plants? So this is another thing. All the crazy things in this case that are not clear. So let me just talk first of all a little bit about the sheriff. Sheriff Noanos. Now, apparently, I was listening to somebody talking about him yesterday. So he's actually only just really started this tenure as sheriff, and he finishes in 2030. Which, God, imagine still having him in 2030 as a sheriff there, when apparently he's going to retire. Or that's what this person was saying. And, he only won by less than 500 votes. And according to the person that was talking, a person from that area said that how he won was he suspended his running mate. So it was a lady that was running against him. He suspended them so they couldn't get the word out for their campaign. And so he won by less than 500 votes. And there had to be a recount even. I did know that was true because I've heard that before. So this man is he'd do anything. It's all about him and his ego, isn't it? So he is sheriff, but like by a thread. He didn't have a resounding vote of confidence, by the public. And then he's like Machiavellian, isn't he? To suspend, because the running mate obviously will be in the police department. He suspended them. And this is what's always been said about him right from the beginning. He's very manipulative. He's ego driven. He's retaliatory. So if people come out against him, he punishes them in whatever way he can. The people are frightened to speak up against him a lot of the time. So anyway, and he's going in 2030 anyway. I think Sheriff Noanos, he wants this. He doesn't want the FBI involved because he wants to take the glory for this case. He wants this to be like his swan song, He wants to be the hero, that it was his department that solved the case. But unfortunately, in doing so, because he's cutting out the FBI, he's making it harder to solve. And I think that's why he won't do press conferences, because if he does a press conference, he has to share the stage with the FBI, like in the last one. He doesn't like that. Doesn't like sharing the limelight, does he? So he wants to sit in his office in his purple shirt, being interviewed by individual media, even though that takes all day, whereas a press conference would just take a couple of hours. He'd rather do that. He sat there, King Dick with the bloody, in his domain. He's a very strange man, Sheriff Noanos, and generally, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, I'm a person who's generally tries to support law enforcement, and I know they've got a difficult job, but this guy, I can't support him. And the people that are suffering is Nancy and her family, because I feel like he's putting his ego first before them. Anyway, so now that we're 21 days in, we're at the point where the media are starting to lose interest a bit. I noticed that at the site, there was all these media, like queues of cars and cameras and watching every move. Every time the pool cleaner turns up, it's a big load of excitement, or the postman comes round, or there's this sort of, oh God, something's happening. So just let me have a drink of coffee. Anyway, another announcement that the sheriff's office has made, actually, let's have a look. They're going to, the road, Nancy Guthrie's road, they're going to make it one way. They say it's to, there's a problem, people getting past, etc., because of the media that are lining the road. It's making it difficult for fire trucks to get through, etc. But really, it's probably a way of trying to, get rid of the media a bit. But I think it's definitely going to work, because I think just generally the media are getting fed up, if you like, because they want something to happen. Nothing's happening. There was a little bit of excitement yesterday. It appeared that there was a helicopter circling the landfill nearby to Nancy's, which you think, why didn't they do that in the beginning? You know that they're doing this case backwards, aren't they? It's like, even though right from day one, this sheriff said that this was a major crime, didn't he? He said it was a crime because of the blood droplets and whatever else they found in Nancy's home. He said it was a crime from day one. But they didn't seal off the crime scene for long enough, did they? Just a couple of days later, it was all, the police tape was down and all the YouTubers, etc., were filming all over the property, filming the blood, etc. Just want to show you these pictures from their website. So this is from the actual sheriff's website. Just to remind you of the picture. So, of course, here's Nancy. These are the pictures that they released of this guy who was there at the front door. How, it's terrifying for Nancy, isn't it? When you think, and they were inside that property for I think it was 47 minutes. What happened in those 47 minutes? Because after that, Nancy disappeared. So then we know that they've got on here about the DNA. The DNA that was submitted to CODIS was from the set of gloves found 2 miles away. It did not trigger a match in CODIS and did not match DNA found at the property. The DNA found at the property is being analysed and further testing needs to be done as part of the investigation. Yeah, and all they keep putting on there as well is no press briefings announced, no press, no press briefings, no media interview. So he stopped doing media interviews now again. He did that full day of media interviews the other day, and now it's no press conferences, no press conferences, no. He sort of disappeared, this sheriff, hasn't he? He's just sort of disappeared. He's probably at a basketball game or something. So nobody seems to have any faith in him. Anyway, let's put it that way. So, yeah, there was some activity yesterday. There was a helicopter hovering over the landfill. But as far as we know, they didn't find anything. Funnily enough, there was a helicopter hovering over my house just before. Sometimes we get that. We had a search for a guy once. It was an Alzheimer's type case, a guy that they thought had gone off for a walk and had got lost because he hadn't come home, and he was recovered, found by the helicopter eventually. But yeah, happens everywhere, and quite often elderly people do get lost, and often it's connected with dementia or Alzheimer's, or just getting lost or getting tired, when they're out for a walk or whatever. But of course, we know that this is not the case with Nancy. She did not have any problems with dementia. In any case, she could not walk very well, so she wouldn't have gone off for a walk in the middle of the night. So, yeah, this blood that was found in the porchway, was the blood there before the plants? Then how would that work? Anyway, we're going to look at that. What else did I want to say? Oh, yes. So a bit of good news that is, I think it's very good news that has come up in this case, is that the Madres Buscadoras of Mexico have announced that they're joining the search. Now, you might be thinking, who are the Madres Buscadoras? So literally in Spanish, that means the searching mothers. The searching mothers. Let's have a look at who they are. I think, because to me, I think the clue or the key is going to end up in a search. I think there should be more searches. I don't know if they are the police even searching at the moment. I mean, obviously the helicopter's going around. I'm talking about actually searching round and about. Because I just don't feel that Nancy will be far away, and the reason I don't know. It's just a feeling that I have, but maybe she's in someone's basement somewhere. I certainly hope she is. Because at least that means she was still alive. Because 21 days, a woman with a pacemaker without a medication, as far as we know, a medication wasn't taken, so we don't know. She's not been on the medication she's supposed to be on. It's not good, is it? So anyway, this is the Madres Buscadoras, searching mothers. And these are Mexican women, primarily mothers, who have organized into collectives to independently search for their forcibly disappeared loved ones. And they often face immense risk, threats, and a lack of state support. With over 100,000 officially missing, they scour the country for clandestine graves to find their children. If I was nearer to that area, I'd be going out to help them search. That's for sure. So, of course, in Mexico's a dangerous country. It is, with the cartels and the drugs and this, that, and the other. And I expect a lot of young people get caught up in cartels and gang warfare and things like that, and then they disappear. And the cartels do make a good job of disappearing people, don't they? And quite often, sometimes even mass graves are found. I mean, it's really quite horrible. Men, young women just disappear if they upset Mexico is a very, very dangerous place at the end of the day. And if for these mothers, just awful, isn't it, to think that your child gets involved in the gangs and things, and then disappears. So these mothers, the searching mothers, they go out looking for their children, basically, probably adult children. So their purpose is they seek for, identify and seek justice for missing family members in the face of widespread impunity, often conducting forensic tasks themselves. So they don't get any state support. They do just take it on themselves. So these groups arose due to the escalating human rights crisis in Mexico, particularly following the war on drugs that was declared in 2007. They face violence, intimidation, and murder from organised crime, with at least 22 members disappeared or killed since 2010. So it's a dangerous thing. The thing is that in Mexico, they don't have any respect for, that it's mothers looking for their children or whatever. They don't give a shit. If somebody, upsets them, annoys them or whatever, they'll kill anyone. So they frequently utilize tips from anonymous sources to locate suspected burial sites. And they rely on tools like shovels and machetes in terrains. And their impact has been that despite the dangers, these collectives, so it's not just one, obviously Mexico's a big country, so there's lots of groups dotted around. These collectives have successfully found more bodies in clandestine graves than the Mexican state. And their groups include the Colectivo Solecitos and Madres y Guerreras Buscadoras de Sonora. Now, what that means, Colectivo Solecitos, that like the lonely or the lone collective, and Madres y Guerreras Buscadoras are mothers and searching warriors of Sonora. So they have become symbols of resistance, often replacing state functions in investigating disappearances, and they continue to demand truth and justice, with many marching under the slogan, "We have nothing to celebrate." It's like, so it's sad, isn't it? But it's sort of good but bad, if you see what I mean. There shouldn't have to be groups like this. The state is responsible for its citizens, and these mothers have got together. Well, these women, they're not all mothers, but most of them are. Some of them are mothers that have got their own missing children. Others are just mothers that want to help in general. I also said, God, if I was near her, I would definitely that's an organisation I would like to take part in, because it's brave what they're doing. They've helped to find lots of missing people. Anyway, they've come over the border because, of course, Arizona. Oh, that's Wikipedia. Let's see what it says on there. Oh, it's in Spanish, of course, but yeah. Oh, no, it's in English. So, Mexican women activists who search for their missing loved ones, primarily but not solely children. Well, because children do go missing as well. And all their remains and justice for the ongoing human rights crisis in Mexico. So, yeah, they're a fantastic group and they have come over the border, which, of course, Mexico, as we've seen a lot of the last few days, is not far from where Nancy disappeared. So, yeah, can they help? But, well, at the end of the day, do you know what? They can't do any worse than the sheriff's doing, can they? It can only be a good thing. I admit, hi, old hippie. Yeah, they can't do any worse than this sheriff, can they? At the end of the day, these Madres Buscadoras, they're there to help, and they can't do any harm, surely. Just like anybody can do better than this bloody sheriff, I think personally. See, when I search in, it's Spanish things that come up, so which is okay for me, of course, but yeah. So yeah, it's a lot on the Spanish speaking news about it. More than that's on the English speaking news, I think, because that's be the language thing. So apparently, according to Telemundo, it was a friend of the Guthrie family that contacted them. I don't know if that's true. That's what they're reporting. Let's just have a look at this, just so you get. I mean, it is in Spanish, but just so that you can see get an idea of these women. Just so that you can get an idea of who they are and what they're about. But most of the new, because but their first language will be Spanish. So, you know. Where's that gone? Because, what my computer's like, it doesn't like sharing. It doesn't like sharing. I thought I was sharing it anyway. Hang on. Ah, there it is. So they're being interviewed all over the sort of Spanish news, etc. This is a big thing, and apparently they were contacted by a friend of the Guthries. I don't know, as I say. I don't know if that's true that it was a friend of the Guthrie family that contacted them, but I think it's brilliant if they can help. If they can help, so they're out there saying that some of the things that they're saying, we're doing it with a lot of love. They're out there now. Well, say now as we speak, they're probably in bed now because it's nighttime in America, but they're there and they're participating in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Good. They've got experience. They might not be police officers, but they've got experience, haven't they, in searching for lost people. I just think it's good. Anyone who's helping in this search, they can't do any worse than that sheriff, can they? That's my opinion anyway. I mean, I'm sure you'll let me know what you think. Oh, thank you, Admit. Savannah seems to be aging every day. Yes, she is. She looked awful in that last video appeal that she did. bless her, she did look absolutely destroyed. But you know what? She's getting trolled. She's getting trolled. This family, of course, there's still this suspicion about Tommaso, even though, you know, the problem is that the sheriff has cleared the family and the spouses, but nobody believes anything the sheriff says. So even though technically the family have been cleared, people are still sort of thinking, oh, maybe it is Tommaso. Also, of course, it's because it just seems so strange, doesn't it? The whole thing. You know, I do think it's targeted. You know, I do think Nancy was targeted, and a lot of people who live in the area, etc., have said exactly the same thing. It's not a place you would just happen on by accident. She's either been targeted or it's been staked out before. I don't believe they've just rocked up to her door that morning just on the off chance of a burglary. You know, like, oh, let's just go up to this house and see what's going on. I don't believe that. Now, it may be that they targeted her because they know she's an old lady who lives alone, and maybe somebody had said she had money around the house. Maybe she did have a safe on the property, etc. Hi, Mark. You know, so maybe she was targeted for that reason. Maybe it's nothing to do with Savannah, nothing to do with the family. But she's, as I say, there's no way someone's just passing that house and thought, let's go and burgle this house. Burglars, they don't tend to go in the dead of night when they know somebody's in there. Now, if they knew that the only person that was in there was an 84-year-old woman, then maybe, because they'd probably think, oh, well, she's not going to put up much of a fight. She'll probably be asleep. But, you know, elderly people, not only elderly people, a lot of people don't sleep well through the night. You know, and it makes you wonder, was Nancy up and about when they were expecting she would be in bed? You know, that does seem possible, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, I'm not surprised about that, old hippie. If the FBI would like the sheriff off the case, everybody wants the sheriff off the case. Have you seen anybody speaking positively for this sheriff? You know, all the sort of people that live in the neighbourhood. You know, if you watch JLR or any of the other live streamers that get interviews with neighbours, none of them have got anything good to say about this sheriff. And you know, at the end of the day, he's the one in. He's responsible to them. You know, this is he, and he's not out there reassuring them. Just, I don't know. I've never known a case where a sheriff, certainly in the early days, you know, as time goes on, you know, cases do get a bit quieter, don't they? And things, that's sort of what's happening now. But in the early days, when everything's just evolving, sheriffs normally come on and do press conferences, don't they? Even if it's just to say this, you know, they say what they can say. There's always something you could say in a press conference. And this guy's not done a press conference, not from right. In fact, we might have a look at his. Has he only done one press? No, he's done two press conferences, I think. He did a press conference right at the beginning when he announced it was a crime, a major crime. Then, of course, he sort of backtracked from that because then the police tape was taken down and everything. He's completely made a total B of it right from day one, hasn't he? Everything is done. And he's given conflicting information as well. I think that's made everything even more difficult. Conflicting information. You know, he's saying now the family are cleared and they've been cleared from early days. Whereas only 2 days before that, he said that everybody was a suspect. You know, he can't make his mind up, can he, about what he's saying, you know? Oh, hippie, you're elderly and up late listening to me. Yeah, a lot of people in general, you know, whatever age, isn't it? They're up in the night. Not everybody's in bed at 10 o'clock. Well, for someone like me, I tend to go to bed early, but then I'll tend to wake up early, like 3, 4 o'clock. A lot of people wake up 3, 4 in the morning. And then, you know, it makes you wonder, doesn't it, if they broke in thinking Nancy would be asleep. And of course, maybe Nancy needed to go to the loo, or you get caught short and you wake up in the middle of the night and you have to go to the bathroom. There's a million things could have happened, but I think they knew Nancy was there on her own. Of course, some people are still going with it's funny because although the sheriff has cleared Tommaso and Annie, that is the scenario that makes the most sense, though. It's like, that maybe she never came back from their house. But of course, the police have been in the house, haven't they? Examining the house forensically. So that'll be as much to clear Annie and Tommaso as to, see if they're guilty. But I think the reason that people still keep sticking a bit with that scenario is because that is the one that makes the most sense, isn't it? When something happens to someone, it's normally the person who last saw them. Unless the actual sheriff's department have got CCTV of Tommaso bringing Nancy home, we haven't seen any evidence of that. So I think that's the reason why people are still sort of, even though the sheriff has said that Tommaso and Annie are cleared, they still are sort of a linger, because people can't make sense of this whole scenario. So the scenario that makes more sense is that the people that last saw her had something to do with it. Did she ever come back to the house? Where did the blood on the porch come from? That blood on the porch is very strange, I think. Was she shot, and then was that as they were carrying her out? Why is there blood dripping on the porchway? It's just weird, I think. This is a problem. It's a complete mystery. People are trying to make sense of it. And, your mind goes everywhere, like with the Mexico thing. When you've got no clues, any theory is possible, isn't it? Because people, it's natural for people to try and make sense of things, and nothing makes sense in this case. And so people are going to start making their own sense. And that's why people won't let go of Annie and Tommaso in that sense. It's because that makes the most sense of all the things, really, doesn't it? That maybe something happened to Nancy before she even got back to the house. And because we haven't been told that we know that the garage door opened and closed, don't we? And that's presumed to be when Nancy returned to the house. But we haven't seen any CCTV of Nancy returning to the house, of Tommaso dropping her off. So we haven't seen anything to show that. Surely that would help. I don't know. Why wouldn't they show that? How can that be detrimental to the investigation? To completely, make the public realise it wasn't anything to do with Tommaso. Because look, there's Nancy just arriving home, going home. He's dropping her off, and whatever happened later. But because the police aren't doing that, then people are thinking, but we haven't seen Nancy return to the house. Do you know what I mean? We don't even know what she was wearing we don't know the last clothes she was wearing while she was with Annie and Tommaso. Obviously, we can't know what she was wearing when she was in bed, because we don't know what nightie she wears. And has she been I presume she's been taken off with whatever clothes she was wearing in bed. These are all things that the sheriff could at least address, couldn't he? But the mystery of it is just making it worse. So as I say, 21 days, 400 investigators, no clue. This case is not being dealt with right, and this is because of the sheriff, because he doesn't want the FBI involved, because he's got a grudge against them anyway because they investigated him. He wants the glory. This is his swan song. He's retiring apparently in 2030 when his tenure finishes as sheriff. So yeah. Okay, now I just want to show you as well. So there's been someone that I follow on Twitter. They've put some very interesting posts up. Again, this is speculation because, well, you have to presume that the police know about, have thought about this. The trouble is, I think we're at a point where we don't believe what the police say, so we don't have faith in them to have investigated things properly. And this person on Twitter, Rose, she's been talking a lot about the blood. What the hell was that? Oh, we've got another couple who found a glove near Nancy's home as well, according to this lady on Twitter, Rose. Now, where's the thing about the blood? So, yeah, let me share this. It's interesting if it's true. This lady's called Rose. And she posts a lot about true crime. Don't think she's got a YouTube channel, but anyway, I follow her because I find her things interesting that she puts on there. She's always got an interesting take on things. So look, she's interested in the blood spatter that the plants. I mean, maybe Nancy had cut herself the day before. Maybe this blood is nothing to do with the disappearance. But look, there's the photo of the blood spatter, and then you've got the plants, but the plants are over the blood spatter. The plants are not spattered with blood. You know, the plants are over it, on top of it. So it's like the blood was there first, then the plants. There's more photos somewhere. Let's see where I can find it further down. So what do you think about that? What would that mean if that was true, that the blood was there first? The blood was there first, and then the plants over it. So when that guy entered the front door, where's the other pictures? I can't find the other pictures, but she goes into it more with more pictures, more close up. Might be on the thread. Yeah. Can you see that? So if you look at that picture, the blood is clearly underneath the plants. Yeah, you've got blood spat that's been blown up with the plant on top. How would that be? How would that be? Why is the plant over the blood? So was Nancy, had they already been in the house? Look, the plant's on top of the blood spatter. So the blood was there first. So the thing is, well, you know, we were thinking that when that guy grabbed the plants to cover up the door camera, that was as they were going into the house. But had they already been in the house? And we know that that is Nancy's blood. That is one thing Deputy Dog has confirmed, that this is Nancy's blood that was found on the porch. So the plants are on top of it. No, it's not a lot of blood, but the point is, old hippie, isn't it? Why is the blood under the plant? You know, if the plants were ripped off as the person was going in to do whatever they did to Nancy, which we still don't even know what happened to Nancy, why is the blood underneath the plants? Maybe the plants blew onto it. Suppose that's a possibility, isn't it? If it's windy and those those Tucson nights are windy, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe the plant blew over it. No, that's possible, I suppose, isn't it? But it's just an interesting point. It's another thing, to take into account, because I don't think we've had a proper timeline either, have we? We don't really know. Obviously the police do know more, I would think. They've got more door cam footage than just what they've released. I would think they have. And I just think, haven't they got door cam footage of Nancy actually being taken out of the house? Was she walking? Did they walk her out of the house? Where did they park? This is the other thing, no cars seem to have been seen or heard. And there are houses in that neighbourhood. I mean, it's not completely isolated, is it? Even though the houses are individual. Surely you would hear a car in the middle of the night. Unless it was one of these electric cars. I was thinking that the other day. The electric cars, you don't hear them the same, do you? I'm sure sometimes, normally you would hear a car coming when you were trying to cross the road or whatever. And I've thought a couple of times, I've nearly been run over by electric cars because you can't hear them. You can't hear them. They come round the corner. You don't hear them coming round. And then the next minute they're there. Do you think they're going to cause more accidents? It occurred to me that maybe there's going to be more accidents because you don't hear them like you would hear, a petrol car coming. That's a complete aside. But how did they get Nancy out of the house? What did they put her in? I mean, you're talking about an 84-year-old woman who's got mobility issues. She's probably got an injury. How's she going to walk out? She can't walk far, can she? I mean, where were they even parked? It's a very, very mysterious case, this, of why Nancy. Did she let slip, or did somebody know she had money on that property? I mean, she could have been one of those, a lot of older people don't, they keep money under the mattress, literally, or hidden somewhere, they don't trust banks, or they always want to have money around, and it was that Nancy, and did she let that slip to somebody, or somebody knew and they let it slip to somebody? She's definitely targeted, in my opinion. I don't think this is a random burglary gone wrong. I think she was targeted for whatever reason, and hopefully sooner or later we'll find out. But hopefully, So my hopes are resting with the Madres Buscadoras. I've got no faith in this sheriff at all. And I hope these searching mothers are going to help one way or another. In this case, they can't do any harm, can they? They can't do any harm. They're helping with the search. I'd like to see more searches, actual searches. And what I'm worried about at the moment, they're already talking. When I Googled Nancy this morning, they're already talking about, scaling back searches and, this, that, and the other. There's been this sort of intense attention on this case, but, is that going to last? I don't know. Is that intense speculation going to last? There's always another case, isn't there? Another case that comes up with so many people, unfortunately, missing, or, a lot of bad people out there. But anyway, so that's your updates. I'm just going to put my banner up for a minute, so I forgot to put it up earlier. Thank you so much for caring about Nancy. If there's any, updates, I'll be back, because it's the weekend now. No press conferences planned. Sheriff's having his day at the basketball, probably can't be bothered doing a press conference, for God's sake. Certainly can't be bothered giving any kudos to the FBI. But I'll be back if I hear any more about it. Thank you for caring about Nancy. say thank you for supporting my channel in whichever way you do. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Thank you. Bye.